the Bermuda Triangle, but what about the Alaska Triangle? Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. I'm your host Emily and today we're counting down our list of the top 10 scary Alaska Triangle stories that will terrify you. Coming in at number 10 is the statistics. The Alaska Triangle is a remote area infamous for alien abductions, Bigfoot sightings, paranormal phenomena, and vanishing airplanes. The Alaska Triangle has everything the Bermuda Triangle has, but with more mountains and it's cold. Like much of Alaska, the Triangle contains some of the most rugged, unforgiving wilderness in North America. It's an impossibly vast expanse of dense forests, craggy mountain peaks, alpine lakes, and large swaths of plain old wilderness. Now, the sheer number of people who go missing is absolutely shocking. Add to the fact that many disappear without a shred of evidence, and bodies, alive or dead, are rarely found. More than 16,000 people, including airplane passengers, hikers, locals, and tourists, have disappeared within the Alaska Triangle since 1988. The rate per 1,000 people is more than twice the national missing persons average, and the rate of people who are never found is even higher. The numbers don't lie, and they imply that something else is going on here other than people merely getting lost in the mountains. So what's really going on here? Seems like no one really knows, and I do not want to be the one to find out. Number 9. Thomas Hale Boggs' disappearance. In 1972, a twin-engine Cessna 310 plane was carrying Representative Thomas Hale Boggs, the House Majority Leader, Representative Nick Begich, Russell Brown, a Begich aide, and the pilot Don Johns. They were traveling during a campaign trip to Alaska and vanished while en route between Anchorage and Juneau. While on their flight, they just disappeared. At noon on October 17th, Representative Tip O'Neill of Massachusetts told anxious House members that it is our hope and prayer, of course, that the men will be found safe. Now, their disappearance triggered the largest search and rescue operation up to that point in U.S. history. It involved 40 military aircrafts, 50 civilian planes, a search grid of 325,000 square miles, and more than 3,600 hours of search time. Now, after 39 days, the search was called off with no signs of the wreckage or survivors. Now, the accident prompted Congress to pass a law mandating the installation of emergency locator transmitters in all U.S. civil aircrafts. And with all of this, conspiracy theories have since risen over the circumstances of Hale's death and disappearance. Number 8. Bigfoot. A Reddit user said, "I was hunting with my friend and it was after midnight and dark/dim. We started heading back on our four-wheeler and the headlights were bad on the wheeler, but my friend had an LED headlamp and I had a flashlight. Along the shore to the right of us, I saw movement and it scared us. I lighted up with the flashlight and we see these huge white furred things running on all fours on the beach as fast as we are going. We were trying to figure out if it was a bear or a wolf or something else. We got really scared and my friend started throttling as hard as he could. I turned around and I saw them standing on their feet and sprinting like a person sprints. We were so scared. They had white fur and red eyes and stood as tall as a tree. They were huge. We made it back to the boat by camp and we decided to run, but the boat was half stuck by the tide. We kept looking behind us while pushing the boat and we saw a few of them watching us by the bushes of the beach. One started coming towards us and my friend fired a warning shot and it moved away. Then tide came in enough, we moved the boat and started leaving and they all started coming at us. We started aiming for them. I think I hit one in the shoulder, but I'm not sure, and they didn't act like they'd been shot. They ran away after that and then we left. Yeah, that is a no from me. Number 7. Douglas C-54D. On the morning of January 26, 1950, Robert Epsey, a master sergeant in the U.S. Air Force, waved goodbye to his wife, not knowing it would be the last time they would see each other alive. As Robert and other 43 passengers boarded the Douglas C-54D Skymaster, they were all ready for the journey to Montana to begin. Now, usually, all airborne aircraft must be in constant communication with the operators at the airport. However, the Skymaster cut off all communications moments after takeoff. With friends and relatives waiting in Minnesota, their loved ones never arrived. Over 75 Canadian and US aircrafts were assigned to look for the missing plane to no avail. The aircraft and the passengers' remains have never been recovered. And I mean, where did they all go? How can you just lose a plane like that? Number 6. paranormal. In the book Alaska's Mysterious Triangle, Chapter 8, the author says he was going ghost hunting in a group and they didn't get any activity, so they grabbed a bite to eat. Now during this, a thunderstorm passed by, and when they went back to the building the group was investigating, they had a lot of activity. Speaking of the incident, they said, "Our meters were off the charts, balls of lights were dancing amongst the treetops, and the beating of a Native American drum was also heard echoing from the tree line along the creek." He also says paranormal investigators love working during or after thunderstorms because the hauntings seem to be more active, which is something I never knew, which is pretty cool. Number 5. Thomas Anthony Nuzzi. Thomas Anthony Nuzzi was a well-known nurse who traveled throughout Alaska, picking up different shifts in various locations. He had a well-paying job and a perfect mode of transport, but obviously no permanent resident address. While staying at a Super 8 motel in Anchorage, Thomas was reported missing after failing to show up for work in Bethel, Alaska, a short flight from where he was staying. Investigator reports dictate that Thomas was spotted buying a pack of cigarettes, a lighter, chips, and soda at a gas station the night before he was reported missing. The reports also show that he was in the company of a woman, and upon questioning the staff of the Super 8 motel, some said that a different man was spotted in Thomas's room on that same night that he went missing. While his bicycle and Jeep were later found, no one knows what happens to Thomas. Number 4. Mystery Man. A Reddit user described a scary story they experienced while in the Triangle. They said, "I used to work on the north slope of Alaska in the oil industry. It was mid-January, the sun hadn't quite come up yet, and we were deep in the wilderness. It was about 4 in the morning when we were in our truck, and then something appeared on the road in our headlights. It was a man, in jeans, sneakers, and a hoodie jacket, walking down an ice road in the wilderness tundra at 4 a.m., and it was negative 20 degrees outside. He didn't acknowledge us as our trucks rolled up next to him, he just kept shuffling forward. He didn't seem cold. I rolled down my window and asked if he needed any help and if he was okay, and he still didn't acknowledge us, just kept shuffling forward. His face was completely blank, devoid of any thoughts or emotions. Now even in the extreme cold, I could occasionally get whiffs of a peculiar smell coming off him. He smelled acidic. Now the guy behind me in the truck's crew cab rolled down his window and reached out to grab the guy, and before his hand could reach him, the man spun around and latched onto my buddy's outstretched arm. He glared at my buddy and then at me with his eyes of pure rage, not removing his hand from his arm. At that moment, this guy started screaming in our faces. I slammed on the gas and he still had a hold on my buddy's arm and was trying to pull him out of the truck. He was running alongside the truck while the other guys in the cab held onto my buddy to keep him inside. After several moments, my buddy tore free from this guy and we sped away. We checked in with the guards and reported what we had seen, and the guard was looking at us like we were pulling a prank, but policy said they had to check it out regardless. My buddy's arm was sore, and when he pulled back his sleeve, there were noticeable bruises in the shape of a hand around his arm. Now, a guard said they searched up and down the ice road for a solid 12-hour shift and saw nothing, not even tracks in the snow leading off the road. So who was this mysterious person? Or ghost? Seems like we'll never know. Number 3. UFOs. A 1986 report made the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, from a Japanese cargo flight tells about one alleged UFO experience. Allegedly, Japan Airlines Flight 1628 encountered 3 unidentified aerial phenomena above the expanse. The pilot reportedly thought the crafts were military and paid them no mind. Moments later, he realized that the objects were keeping pace and moving erratically around his own jet. Over the next 50 minutes, the strange aircraft shadowed Flight 1628's every move while emitting bursts of blinding lights. The statements made by the crew were verified by civilian and military radar, and the FAA report went on to garner national attention. Number 2. Kushtaka. The native Tlingit and Tsimshian peoples have their own explanation for disappearances. The Kushtaka is a shape-shifting cryptid that stalks Alaska's wilderness looking for human prey. While often compared to the mythology of Bigfoot, the Kushtaka seems to operate in a much similar manner. According to lore, the otter-like creatures disguise themselves as a trusted relative or friend and appear to those who are lost or injured. They lead their victims deeper into the wild, ultimately tearing them apart or turning them into another Kushtaka. This legend is especially popular in southeastern Alaska. In some stories, Kushtaka are cruel creatures who take delight in tricking poor Tlingit sailors to their deaths. In some legends, it is said the Kushtaka will imitate cries of a baby or screams of a woman to lure victims to the river. Could it be the Kushtaka responsible for some of these disappearances? I think so. And coming in at number 1 is Alan Foster. On September 9th, 2013, Alan Foster flew a Piper PA-32-260, which was later reported as missing while traveling over the Alaska Triangle region. The National Transport Safety Board reports that Alan had been flying under a visual flight rules flight plan, fueled at Yaktouit, and continued flying around 3:30 p.m. He even contacted Jono Flight Service, indicating that he would stop at Cordova if the conditions dictated. However, 18 minutes after takeoff, somewhere between Malaspina Glacier and the Gulf of Alaska, the radar showed Alan's aircraft descending to about 1,100 feet before disappearing. No one ever heard from Alan Foster again, and no remains of his body nor the aircraft have been found. Alan's disappearance is bizarre because he was experienced. He had over 9,700 flight hours in various aircrafts. He kept asking for key details before and during his flight, and he never reported any problems before disappearing. The only suspicious factor is where he disappeared, the Alaska Triangle. Well, that's all for our list of the top 10 scary Alaska Triangle stories that will terrify you. Which one scared you the most? Let us know in the comments down below, and hey, why not like and subscribe while you're down there? I'm your host Emily, and we'll see you next time. Peace.